Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Rowe-Thrush Solution Selling Show. I'm James Thrush with Rowe-Thrush. And this is our weekly podcast that we do basically for the Granger sales force, where every week we bring on a different supplier partner of ours every Friday at 2 o'clock Central Time. And we ask them the questions that we feel a Granger account manager would want to know. Today we have Melissa Kinney with Glen Dimplex, and today we're going to be specifically talking about Cadet heat. So the colder months are coming ahead, and they'll be here before you know it. So we figured it'll be a great time to start talking about heat. So with that, welcome to the show, Melissa. How are you today?
I'm good, thanks. I am happy to be here. Have the time with you guys.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you on. This is your first time coming on. However, in the past we had a previous employee join
Yeah.
us once before, so definitely forward to having you on and getting into the world of electric heaters and how they can benefit Granger customers. Before we do all of that, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? What it is that you do at Cadet, as well as how long you've been there, and maybe a little bit more about your past.
Sure, great. So I've been with the Cadet brand for 12 years now, primarily in the wholesale side of our business, supporting sales, marketing, and business development. So a lot of work with different specifier audiences, whether it's contractors or electrical or mechanical engineers. So I've learned a lot because I'm not electrical savvy when I started. So um, it's been a good experience to kind of learn the multifamily industry, commercial and residential applications. So been doing that about, I would say, 5 years ago. The Cadet brand, which is in the Pacific Northwest, in out of Vancouver, Washington, which is right outside of Portland, Oregon, um, was acquired by Glen Dimplex out of Ireland. So they then combined two brands together. So have been selling and working with the Dimplex branded product in the last 5 years, and it's been a journey. So
Excellent. Thank you for going through all of that.
and
And
it is my national debut on being, I guess Granger televised. So
yeah, thank you for being a part of this. We're looking forward to it. I
yeah.
do have one more question too about yourself. And last year the question that we had asked Kevin was, "What is his favorite movie and why?" And I believe his answer was A Christmas Story. I think, if I remember right. Well, this year the question is, "Who is your favorite band or album and why?"
That is tough. That's really tough. So if I go back to my college years and most of my life, it's been U2 and Joshua Tree, which is, so many memories, but they've changed so drastically. I would have to pick a second band, and because I'm only supposed to have one answer, I'll leave it at U2.
That's a great choice, and yeah, they are one of those bands that they have ebbed and flowed throughout the years, and
Absolutely.
their music is they're very talented. They've been at it for a long time, and it is interesting to see how their music has progressed over the years, and
Absolutely. Yeah.
you can think of many bands that have done that, and sometimes it doesn't work well in their favor. I've seen some bands where they do a drastic right turn
Yeah.
and they lose their fan base and they just drop off the face of the earth.
Yeah.
And some others, they can navigate those waters quite well.
They got really electronic, so I think that's where they kind of lost me, is that real poppy electro mode. I will tell you though, and you didn't ask the question, but my very first concert, and I'm aging and dating myself right now, would be Loverboy.
Okay.
Do you remember them back in the day?
No, I can't say that I do. My first concert was in, what was it? 94, fall of 1994.
Hmm.
So that
Who
was
was
that
it?
was That was Danzig and Typo Negative. So I was going specifically for Typo Negative. They're my favorite band, but Glenn Danzig is also a great singer. He's one of those rock and rollers that can actually really sing well.
Mm,
So that was my first concert. I forgot the venue. I think it was the Vic in Chicago, which is a very small, very intimate type venue.
very cool. That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, so thank you for doing all of that. Now, so getting into a little bit more about Dimplex,
Mhm.
please tell us more about who Glen
Yeah,
Dimplex is. You mentioned that they purchased the company, and they're an Irish company. So tell us about that and about Cadet.
sure, absolutely. So Glen Dimplex is based out of Ireland. Been around for quite a while. They are a family-owned business, which is interesting, the size that they are to be family-owned. Um, they have multiple divisions throughout their global organization that specialize primarily all around heating, cooling, air movement, and refrigeration. So, as I mentioned earlier, in 2019, they combined the Dimplex brand and the Cadet brand, and they formed what they call the Glen Dimplex North America, which is the division that I work in. So, at the bottom of the screen, you'll see the various brands that make up our particular division within Glen Dimplex, and primarily selling flame products, heat products, and we have a little bit touching into gas products. So that's kind of our primary focus. We're headquartered in Cambridge, Ontario, and have offices in London, Ontario, as well as Vancouver, Washington. So our manufacturing plant in Vancouver, Washington is where a lot of the Cadet heaters are actually made and come off the assembly line. And we've just been doing that for years. So it's been good. It's nice having additional brands. The flame products, a beautiful, interesting thing. It isn't something that Granger necessarily has within the line, but it's something, if you, from a personal perspective, if you ever want to check it out, electrical fireplaces are quite the addition to homes. So
Yeah, there was a K-Biz show once that I went to, and I stopped by your guys' booth to check out your flame products that were featured in there, and I checked out some of the competitors as well. And I never thought that I would be impressed with an electric, digital type fireplace and all that. But your fireplaces, I have to say, they are top of the line as
yeah,
far as the features, the look, the warmth that they give off. Really, really cool products
yeah,
there to look at. Yeah.
yeah,
Now, I did forget to do something really quick, so I'm going to switch back over here. So just please take a moment and scan the QR code down below. We have multiple web links built into that for you to learn more about Dimplex, or Cadet in this case. We have a link that goes to Granger.com, goes to their website, goes to their YouTube channel, as well as some resources as well. So scan the QR code. That way you can learn more about Dimplex and about Cadet. All right. So back at it. Thank you for going through the customer, or going through Glen Dimplex and the different brands. Let's talk about a little bit about the customers that
yeah.
would be interested in purchasing Cadet heat.
Okay, I'm happy to. So a lot of our business, we sell in multiple channels. We sell obviously through the MRO side of the business with Granger. A lot of replacement business in existing apartments and property management facilities. We also have an arm of our business that sells in home improvement section or big box stores, or even smaller like regional stores. And the product is used primarily. A lot of DIYers might, buy their own heater and put it in uh, maybe a cool basement room, or where they want to bring in a little bit of extra heat. As well as I would say our biggest category is home improvement and um, multifamily residential. So new construction as well as property management business.
Excellent. And we do have a comment here from Jeanette about Loverboy. Actually, first it was Everybody's Working for the
Yes,
Weekend, and
absolutely.
Loverboy song, quite appropriate. So
Absolutely.
thank you, Jeanette. So yeah, Everybody's Working for the Weekend. I have heard that song before. I
There
just
you
didn't
go.
know that it was Loverboy. So just didn't know the name. I think I was a little younger at that time, so I didn't know the names of people.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
so thank you for that, Jeanette.
My first
Uh,
concert was much before 1994 too, if that was your first concert. So I have a feeling that you were a different genre of or year of exposure. So
yeah, I was born in 1980, so I'm right on that border of Gen X and millennials.
okay, okay. Well, I'm not a baby boomer, so that's good. But
Yeah, no, I figured that much.
yeah, yeah.
So,
Uh-huh.
so when it comes to customers, sometimes when it comes to certain locations, what are some areas that a Granger account manager could look for to be like, oh, an electric heater would be good over there?
Yeah. Okay. Well, one of the biggest things that I think you see out in the field when you're visiting workshops or factories is plug-in heaters. Just, the cord's draped across the wall and maybe it's too tight and it's plugged in. So I think one of the biggest opportunities we found is those areas that are chilly or cold can have supplemental heat by just having it put on the wall and running on a stat. So from a safety perspective, it's a easy selling point because it's not going to tip over. It's going to run off a wall thermostat, so you're going to have some environmental sustainability improvements by controlling it and having it cooler when no one's in the building. But what you're seeing here is just some examples. It could be a conference room that just needs a little bit extra heat. So most of these examples, they're still using a central air system, like most big offices use, but there's some pocket areas that just need a little extra warmth. So it could be a conference room, it could be a office manager, our shipping departments. Our clerks have heaters in there just because the big bay doors going up and down makes for a pretty cold area in the office areas. So a lot of ways that you can just kind of bring in a little bit more warmth and take that chill off the space, and then do it in a safe fashion.
Yeah, and thinking of Granger, one of the biggest segments of Granger customers, manufacturing. That was a great point. You have loading docks. You have doors that are constantly opening and closing. The colder months are coming, and you're going to have all this cold air rushing in. So to have a shop heater, plugged in and running to help keep the area warm, or if you have a small office nearby, that cold air is going to go right into it. To mount something into the wall, great solutions that Cadet can bring.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah. I also want to point out, even in that shipping one, you can't even really see in the upper right corner, but the heater's mounted in the ceiling. So in smaller spaces that don't need, more than 1,500 watts of heat, you can put it in the ceiling, so it's completely out of way. Nobody's going to put anything in front of it, and again, it's still bringing a little bit of extra warmth to make that space a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah, I could definitely. I could think of a couple spots in my house that can actually
Mhm.
use that. It's an older house, and it's like, I might need to talk to you later
Yeah,
about
absolutely.
some of these little in wall heaters. So
Absolutely. We have a basement, and the basement is always cold. In the summer, it's cold. So
yeah.
surface mounting into a concrete wall, so you mount it on the outside, but it allows you to, it makes it so much more comfortable. And then obviously we only run it when we're down there, but it
Yeah.
does make it more comfortable and also keeps some of the dampness out.
Excellent. Great. Thank you for covering all of that. Now, let's talk about some of the key solutions that Cadet can bring to Granger customers.
Mhm. Absolutely. So I think first and foremost, as a business, we're out there talking to those specifiers. So we're helping raise that awareness in the market and giving specifiers and mechanical engineers the tools to spec those things, whether it's a, and really old school that's getting rid of a boiler system. We're having those conversations so that they know that that's an option. So we bring that to you kind of as your sales force. We're giving insight and serve as a resource for you on those types of projects that maybe need a little bit more involvement. And then it really is such a high quality, high value product that it's 100% efficient. So in a ducted system, you're losing air or you're losing some of that heat as it runs through the ducting. Electrical heat is all the heat comes out into the space. So there's great value there from a savings perspective. And then we are the largest residential heating manufacturer in electric heat. So we do a ton of multifamily projects. The nice thing about winning a project with that gets spec'd Cadet, let's say it's 500 units of a fan heater, that fan heater may have a life of anywhere from 15 to 20 years. But most of the time when they're replacing their heater goes out, they put the same heater back in. So for property managers, it's like it's an ongoing win for them because they're not having to redo anything. They're just replacing the heater component of that heater. And then we're made in the USA. So we are starting out of our London factory to manufacture some of our baseboards. So we will have some baseboards in the next year coming out of our, especially for the Indianapolis area, which is our other warehouse. Those will be made in US and Canada.
Excellent. Yeah, and the cost savings, that is the big point that we need to push. When it comes to a Granger account manager out there with your customers, talking to them about the cost savings that electric heat can bring over a ducted system. Like she said, you're going to have some heat loss, you're going to have leaks, and not to mention the energy of having that blower blow that hot air all the way down the line to where it needs to go to its final destination can help your customers out tremendously in cost savings right there. So now you wanted to cover some of the different product types that you guys manufacture. So before we get into that, why don't you talk a little bit more about some additional features that you guys can bring?
Yep. So this is just high level across most of our products. But again, made in the USA. So as I mentioned, some of the baseboards will be coming and clearly marked out of Canada. And then it's really small. So for some renovation type projects that are getting rid of a baseboard kind of boiler system, the compact wall fan is 9 inches by 12 inches. That's all the space that it takes. So you're getting a lot of heat in a very a small space that you're taking up within the room. And then the warranty. So they're all warranted and they have a variety of warranties. Our fans vary anywhere from 2 to 5 years. As I said earlier, we have ones that we're trying to replace for someone that are 25 years old. Like if you kind of take care of it, they can last a really long time. And then from the safety perspective, it's really just the componentry, the quality of products that we're using and what we're putting in it really does stand up to the test of time. So it's a great option that really every facility that you're walking into that has a small office or has a vestibule where people are doing will call pickups. There's so many opportunities from a safety perspective to get rid of any kind of plug-in and put in a wall heater.
Great. And now getting into some of the different product types.
Yep.
So you mentioned baseboard heaters, you have some in-wall units, you even have some units that people have installed in ceilings too. So starting with baseboards, let's talk about the different types you have there and maybe also some applications, as far as different customer types or locations that would use them.
So everybody knows a baseboard. It's, they're long, they take up space, but they are workhorses in creating heat. So they're still used in everyday business. And often what I found with, kind of Granger type applications is someone taking an older school or a facilities building and they're pulling out a boiler system, and the cost to like replace that is just unmanageable. So they can put in electric baseboards with wall thermostats at a really low cost and bring in that same space. So I think for just the traditional baseboard, that's primarily where we see it, is those institutional type environments. We see it also in like older style apartments where they already had a baseboard, so they're putting a baseboard in. Um, it's there's not that many new construction situations where they do it. It's not that it can't be done. It's just it just tends to, the general population is moving more toward a fan heater. And then on your right side, we have what we call our hydronic baseboard. So that one is nice because it's great for senior housing, for any kind of nursery, or maybe like a school with children. It's very low temperature. It actually is oil, almost like a mineral oil that's heated. So it's slower to heat up, but it holds that heat within the oil once it turns off. So it's a very gentle cooling down cycle as well. The soft heat, which is on the right side, that hydronic system is a 7-year warranty. And then on our traditional baseboard, it has a lifetime warranty on the element. So um, other than that, they both can work with wall or onboard thermostats.
Great. And when it comes to the in-wall types,
Yeah, so this, to me, this is important because baseboards take up a lot of space. If you need, let's say, a 1500 watts of heat in this space, meaning that entire room needs that much heat, you're going to lose 6 feet on the wall with that baseboard. So on the example on your right, that baseboard's taking up 96 inches across the bottom, meaning nothing can be in front of that or the sides. So why fans have gotten such a growing trend is, again, on the left side, you're getting the same amount of heat in the space, but it's 9 inches wide by 12 inches high. So it's taking up very little space within the working area of the room. The fan heaters heat the room up from a user perspective. Sitting in the space, it's going to feel warmer faster because that air movement, right? It's sort of like DIR heaters or infrared heaters. You can tell right away because it's like the sun shining down on you. That air movement gives the sensation of feeling warm faster than a baseboard. But the nice thing here in the Pacific Northwest, we have a lot of dampness. Although people think it rains every day here, it doesn't. But it is much damper, so that air movement also helps that with the moisture levels. And both of them work with wall thermostats and or built-in thermostats.
great. Yeah, I love the space savings that you can get with the in-wall units, and like you said, it's a lot cleaner of a look too. You don't have to worry about things blocking it. You don't have to worry as much about dust collecting on everything. So,
Absolutely.
really really cool in-wall units that you guys have.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is focusing just primarily on our fan heaters. So in terms of the offering that Granger has for our fan heaters, this is most of the offering. The one that you see in the top list called the CS, that's our compact heater. There's probably more compact heaters in the United States than any other competitor heater. It is the most highly spec'd and used heater for a variety of environments, regardless of wattage, whether you want a 120 volt 240, or if you want 1500 watts of heat or 500 watts of heat. So huge array of wattages for meeting everything from a very small space to a bigger space. And then we also, through the years, we have taken that compact heater and converted it. And we've done a few other things. So we've made a bath heater, which is the smaller one on the right that you see. The nice thing is that has a timer blaster, so you can crank it over and it blasts the heat, and then it'll go back to your set point. So it's great in a bathroom setting. And then we also, I just wanted to touch on, we sell complete units, meaning you're going to buy a wall can, the heater assembly, and a grill. So it's a complete unit. Or in those replacement environments, they have the wall can in the wall and they just need a new heater, or maybe the grill's stinted and they need a grill. So those are the kind of replaceable parts that you can do within the compact heater.
Excellent. And my apologies. I'm rubbing my neck right now. I have a little bit of an injury right now, and it started hurting me again, like it did last week on last week's show too. So my apologies on that.
No
I'm just
worries.
trying to bear through this.
I thought
And
you're like,
actually,
oh God, this is just the worst
no,
thing
no, no, it's
ever.
not you. It's
No, I'm
something I've
kidding.
had for weeks now,
Oh, I'm
actually.
sorry.
Um, actually, Jeanette had a great question here, and that is if any of these are programmable. So you mentioned that the bathroom one you have a timer that you can set, so that's great. But maybe those baseboard heaters or some of those other thermostats, can you
Yeah.
program it to automatically come on? At 6 o'clock at night at a specific temperature or anything like that.
Yep. I think it boils down to what kind of control you put on it. So in with the compact heater, so the baseboard, or excuse me, the bath heater stands alone. It has its own dialable thermostat and a timer. But the compact heater, you can wire it out to a wall thermostat that is programmable, so it's digitally programmable. And these wall thermostats are line voltage thermostats, so you can't put like a Nest thermostat that everybody's familiar with. You can't do one of those, but you would do, and we'll talk about it here in a little bit, but you would do a wall thermostat that allows you to do multiple, time and day settings, um, and then control that temperature. If you want to go lowest price option, you would do a built-in thermostat, meaning you can kind of see it in that picture on the bottom left corner of the CS heater. There's a little tiny rotator dial. So yes, to answer your question, there's ways you can get it programmable, and there's ways that you can just get it heat on, heat off.
Great. Thank you for addressing that. And so when it comes to some of your more, higher end models here, you wanted to talk
Mhm.
about, I personally like the perfect toe. When I first saw it, I was like, that's kind of a weird name. What does it mean? And then I was like, oh, under cabinet. So it's to help keep your toes warm.
Absolutely. Yep. Yep. Yeah. So this category is really just some of those more unique premium heaters. So our Energy Plus also is very similar to our compact. It uses the same size wall can. It's kind of the recipe for it. I always think is kind of true to what the compact was, but it has some additional features. So this model has a digital controller on board, so this would be one that heater on the Energy Plus would use its own settings. You have a temperature control, you have what the heater then does once you hit your set point. So I want it to be 72 degrees. Once it hits 72 degrees, it actually dials the wattage back down and to maintain that. So I always think of it like cruise control for a heater. So you actually save, there is about a 30% energy savings on that unit
Hmm.
because it does use less electrical wattage. A couple other features, it has a night away setting. It has a fan only mode if you just want to move the air. So it's got some nice functionality to it. It is a little bit more expensive than a traditional compact, but you get a lot of unique features on that one. And then the register, I always like to show for those people that have a larger ducted system throughout and they want just something that kind of disappears and looks like a traditional air vent for a ducted system. The register is a nice unit for that. And then the last one, as you said, it's the Perfecto. The nice
Oh,
thing is the new,
perfecto.
I know it. Perfect Toe is a great name, and I'll go back to them. We call it the Perfecto. Bathrooms, stairwells, uh, kitchens. There's a lot of varieties that you use. We do a lot of them in call centers, so call center desks, where they just want some warmth. And the nice thing is the new unit comes with both a black and white grill, so you have that option. It also has 120 volt, 240, or 208. So whatever voltage you need and or wattage comes in a single SKU. So it's nice to cover all those variabilities.
Great. And my apologies on pronouncing the name
Yeah,
wrong.
that's okay. It's more colorful. And so
Yes.
these are some of those controls. So these are the options that would be driving those heaters if you did do a wall thermostat. So pretty basic. You have programmable and non-programmable. So a non-programmable thermostat is literally just going to be, punch in that you want it at 70 degrees and it'll go to 70 degrees. The programmable is where you can get in and say, okay, at 5:30, I want it to come on and heat up to 72. But at 9:30, I want it to shut off and go down to 68. And you can do multiple settings. And that's where you get your probably most energy efficient way of using electric heat. And then the low cost option is that bimetal stat, which we call the mechanical. It literally is just you dial it over to what temperature you want. And the difficult thing about that one is it loses its very accuracy over time because it's just an on, kind of like just an on switch. So there's a lot of there's up to a 5-degree variability as it ages. So for people who want, the best energy efficient option, it really would be a programmable thermostat.
Yeah, definitely. Technology's come a long way with heating and air conditioning systems, as with pretty much everything these days. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, thank you for covering all of that. And I think our last slide here is covering your part numbers. And originally, I didn't want to talk about this because I figured it was just a bit too much. But before we had this call, you explained the rationale why you wanted to cover it, and I changed my mind. So let's talk about this
Yeah.
and about
Yeah.
why a Granger account manager specifically would want to know how to look at their part number on a unit that may be already installed in your customer's
Absolutely.
facility.
Yeah. Yeah. So the model numbers mean something. So that CS102TW, what does that even mean? So what you're seeing is the breakdown of it. So if you're standing in someone's office and they need a replacement, you can quickly determine what the model they need based on kind of breaking that model number down. So what you see is the first characters are what model family it's in, whether it's a Register or Perfecto. They all have different kind of model identifications. Um, and then the C, which is, it's basically telling you that's a complete unit. So it's a compact model with a can. And then the next, the 10 is telling you wattage. If you saw a 15, that means it's a 1500 watt. If you saw a 05, that means a 500. So it gives you, if you are literally wanting to help them find the like model, you can kind of do the math backwards to get what they need. So like, let's say you're standing in someone's shipping area and their heater doesn't work. Literally by taking that off, you can see what voltage it is, what wattage it is. Let's say there isn't a T. So the onboard thermostat is that dial, right? Turning it on or off. If they've got a wall thermostat, they would want one that doesn't have a T because they're running their heater off the wall thermostat. And then the W is just the grill color. But it does help you do quick replacements and understand what they need. Or if they're saying, gosh, I have this 500, this CS05, and I'm just cold. It's just not working. Well, they don't have enough heat for that space. So
Yeah.
rather than a 500 watts, maybe you should put it up to 700 and bring a little bit more heat into the area.
Yeah, great point. Now, regarding the part numbers and all that, and them being marked on these units, how far back does that go where it's clearly indicated, what model it is? I'm
Yeah,
thinking like, what if something was installed 25 years ago? Would it be kind of the same as far as the way the part numbers are laid out?
correct. And it would be. So what's funny is Cadet was a family-owned business that was made in the Vancouver, Washington market. And we just celebrated our 65th year. So on one of the QR codes, one of the sites that I recommended is the trade resources. And that trade resources site has I think it's called Replacement Model Finder. And when you go
Hmm.
there, you can find a heater all the way back to 1975. Like you can go way back. So it tells
Wow.
you, obviously, that heater from 1975 may not be made anymore, but here's the like model that you would use.
That's awesome. And again, you can scan the QR code down below in order to get to that resource page. So thank you for doing all of that.
Mhm.
And Jeanette makes a comment about how the breakdown of the part number is quite helpful. And that's why, like I said, I didn't want to have this included because I was like, why is anybody going to want to know this?
Okay, yeah,
But you convinced me, you sold me on it. So
yeah,
it's a great additional solution that Granger account managers can bring to their customers as far as finding out what unit it is. And yeah, like
absolutely,
you said, maybe they're a little cold and it's a 500 watt unit. Bump it up a little bit. Maybe they'll be a little more comfortable. So,
absolutely.
yeah, thank you for covering all of that.
Hmm.
That's everything that we wanted to cover. Do you have any final words that you wanted to say out to the
Yeah.
Granger sales force and those that may watch this in the future?
Not really. I mean, it's been a great joy. I have had some time with different Granger guys in the field and learning just some of the things that they come up with, and I think as a resource, just knowing we're here to help on project business. So there is um, there is always the opportunity on a bigger institutional renovation or something where you might need a little help. We can be the resource for you to help you figure out how to spec that. So you don't need to be the specialist. You can kind of lean on us, and we can help figure out what's needed on that particular project, and then ideally win that spec. So we're available as a resource to work with you and the Rowe-Thrush team and Granger to figure out whatever customer needs you might come across.
Excellent. Thank you for going through all of that. Now, next week, we will have Leatherhead Tools coming on our show once again. So, we're kicking off Fire Prevention Month, October, with our firefighting tool manufacturer. Actually, have some of their tools over my shoulder here. So, we'll be interviewing Rick Parker once again to kick off that month. So looking forward to that. Check us out on October 6th. Again, we do this show every Friday at 2 o'clock Central Time. So with that, thank you so much, Michelle, for taking some time out of your Friday afternoon to meet with me and to talk to everybody. Really glad that you were able to come on the show today.
Thank you for having me. It was
You're
good.
very welcome. So with that, here is Melissa's contact information as well as my contact information. If you have any questions regarding anything that we covered here today or anything additional that may come up, maybe you have a specific unique application and you want to know what would work for it, write down this contact information and please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you, everybody, and have a great weekend.